But without further ado, I mean, we're gonna have Danny on in a second. We have this topic up here, and I mean, how should we introduce this, Matt? We had somebody who, look, if you like the show, fine, but I will say, the culture around it is very weird and off-putting to me. We're talking about the Ted Lasso program on Apple Television. Um, he has become a kind of figure prophet for a certain part of the liberal class, we could say, and um,
Yeah.
it's
He's a
weird
little
to
bit
me.
of a Scott Adams, the disgraced Dilbert guy, has a concept called internet dads. And it's like these guys that are like, oh, we need the internet dads to come in and solve this issue.
Yeah,
And I'm like, you guys are adults though. Like,
yeah.
and and so that's kind of how I feel with this. And so this is a very strange. First of all, I want to dispense with like one objection to this, which I don't care about, which is how could you do this to the White House? Like
Yeah.
the White House press secretary and that whole podium business. That can't you can't do anything to bring
No,
that
no,
down
nothing
any
better
lower.
than I mean, I remember during the Trump years, it's like, oh my God, all this horrible stuff is happening in the White House press briefing room. It's just like, look, if we could dispense with the with the pomp and circumstance around that room, it'd be great. I mean, it is a place where people regularly go to lie.
Yeah.
When I was in DC, I actually went to a few White House briefings, right? When I was at El Rabia, and one of the things that is so funny about the White House, about the press briefing room, is that you see those American flags behind them. At the top, they have a gold eagle, right? But just like the one in your middle school or high school, it's plastic and it's worn down, so it's got those black speckles on it. And I don't know, there's just something that felt perfectly apt about even in that room, right, which is supposed to be the official room, it's still just
Yeah.
shitty plastic like anywhere else.
And to this day, if those had only been pure gold, David would be a
Yeah, I
conservative.
would be very happy.
Wearing a tie right now. So yeah, like I don't really care. Like Elvis did a photo op with Nixon, Michael Jackson with Reagan. Like I'm sure that when all the basketball players come in, fine. And there is this little pantomime of a question at the end, which like I understand the objection to that. Like this is again more like, but again like it's within the context of something that's already like not serious. This is controlled, sort of illusion of a sort of press that is holding people to account. So like yeah, I'm not for
Yeah.
that. But uh, with regards to how we talk about mental health, we need to evolve. And I'll just play this. They're in the press briefing room for some reason. I guess because there's a new season of Ted Lasso coming out. I'm not 100% sure on that. But he also has an important message, and I guess let's just watch.
Here you go. Thank you. Yeah, I truly did not know it was going to be this one when on the way here, not until we're out here, so thank you for taking an interest, and I know you're here for bigger reasons than us, but I just want to say that on behalf of myself, everyone here with me today, and the numerous other folks that it takes to make our show Ted Lasso, it is sincerely an honor to visit the White House and to have the opportunity to speak to the President and to the First Lady about the importance of mental health. So no matter who you are, no matter where you live, no matter who you voted for, we all probably, I assume, we all know someone who has, or have been that someone ourselves actually, that's struggled, that's felt isolated, that's felt anxious, that has felt alone, right? And it's actually one of the many things that believe it or not, that we all have in common as human beings, right? And so,
Now, is he in character right now? Is that how? Like, I don't understand. Like this halt. First of all, if he's not in character, he's just underprepared and been thrown into a situation he's not ready for. But like, is that his Ted Lasso character? That sort of halting, like I'm stumbling over my words, guy. Oh, you're muted, David. Sorry.
Maybe it's made an impact on him, but I will say he is from Virginia, so we can give him a little bit of slack.
Okay.
that means that it's something that we can all, and should talk about with one another when we're feeling that way, or when we recognize that in someone feeling that way. So please, we encourage everyone, and this is a big theme of the show, is like to check in with your neighbor, your coworker, your friends, your family, and ask how they're doing, and listen sincerely. You all ask questions for a living, but you also listen for a living. So who am I preaching to? The choir, that is. Okay. And look, and while
man, like, this is not.
Yeah.
This is the mental health solution. Is if you see something, say something. Like,
Yeah.
be there to listen. We really, like, this is like a generational thing. I think maybe, like, I don't really understand this idea that it's very embarrassing to get therapy.
Totally.
We're talking with Sam Cedar about it. I guess I don't understand that. That's not the obstacle now. The obstacle is paying for it. Here's just like a short clip from these medical health professionals for Medicare for All, and like, this is what we need to be talking about. We don't need fictional characters to come say, "Hey, we just gotta, like, be there for each other." We've been there. Maybe it's you yourself that actually need a little bit of mental health and want somebody to listen. Like, what the fuck are you talking about?
I love my work, but the biggest frustration in my work has nothing to do with the actual work. It's the American healthcare system itself.
One of my biggest frustrations with commercial health insurance is the restriction on access to mental health care that it places upon our patients.
If you think insurance corporations complicate getting medical services, you will be horrified to try to get mental health support.
I've had patients miss appointments because they could not afford the copay. I've had patients not take medications because they lost insurance.
It takes a lot for someone to...
So, I mean, we all know that. You know who we needed as a fictional person at the White House press briefing? The fucking Joker, right? Like, he could explain the mental health problems and the barriers to getting better than Ted Lasso's halting ass. But anyway, David, you can take
No,
it.
I mean, I totally agree. It's just like at a certain point, I mean, like, liberals in a certain class like love, like, doing awareness, and it's like we just need more awareness of things. It's like, no, it's time to get your hat out of your ass, and we need Medicare for all. It's like very clear from that to a story we covered a couple months ago where this poor family had their child get ill and they lost their job. They didn't have access to healthcare anymore. They got stuck in the middle of our just like horrible healthcare and insurance system. And it's like the same thing with mental health. So it's like, yeah, I mean, if Sudeikis wants to go out there and say that, like, we need to take mental health care in this country more seriously, they come out for Medicare for all. And the Biden administration is also run by a fellow who said that if that does come to his desk, he will veto it. Right. So if you are trying to put pressure on somebody, if you're just trying to raise awareness, I don't know, maybe raise awareness about that fact.
All that stuff, like, where it's like, we all agree about this. Like, what did we agree about it? That we should all talk about it? Like, I don't know. Like, is that really as far as we can push this agreement?
I mean, it's the same thing with, homelessness, right? It's like across the board. It's like there's all these problems in society. And I think at this point, everybody gets that their problems is sort of like, okay, what are we going to do about it? And at a certain point, it's very clear that charity is not going to do it. It's very clear that more awareness isn't going to do it. And yeah, the idea that it's like, well, we just need is more role models and people to come forward on this kind of thing. When the reality is that if you do get convinced by a role model who comes out and says, go and get healthcare, right? Go get mental health care. You will very quickly come across the hurdle of trying to pay for it. And like, know too many horror stories of friends, people on like Medicaid or even people on, cheaper Obamacare insurance, like what I have, getting mental health is not something that is in the cards for most people. And it's a cost thing. And it's a system thing. And yeah, I don't know. It's just like, it's endless pointing. I mean, this is like what just like Sudeikis, what Biden, what all these people do is they love to point and say, like, I see there's a problem.
We hear it.
I get that there's a problem. And then it's like, okay, well, the most powerful people in the world see there's a problem, but yet are unwilling to participate in any of the solutions. And in this case are like really simple ones.
Yeah.